Alright, so Jasmy's facing some pretty serious resistance at this red box, which comes from this low over here, and whatever you want to call this. The EMA ribbon's curled up and the spread's pretty much nothing, so this isn't really offering us support nor resistance, so I'll go ahead and turn it off. If we zoom in here, you can see that we're currently finding support off the Ichimoku cloud. It also looks like the cloud is attempting to widen, which is a good sign. I mentioned in my previous video we could be entering somewhat of a sideways trading channel, which is typically bullish. I'm honestly not surprised we're seeing a little bit of a pullback right now, considering how much we've rallied since the bottom here. But you can see that since we are consolidating, this is probably the best sign for Jasmy, rather than it just continuing to shoot up through this and have something like a blow off top. So now that the price has matured a little bit, you can see that we're probably actually forming a bull flag, something like this. And I'm going to keep these red lines here just in case we do actually form a sideways trading channel. But back to the bull flag pattern, if you do something like this, you can actually see we're getting very close to the apex of it, and usually these patterns break out about 70% of the way through. So in my opinion, Jasmy probably has to make a decision relatively soon. So the reason why I left these red trend lines here is because if you take a fib retracement from this swing low here to this high, you can actually see that the 0.5 level lines up almost perfectly with this bottom trend line. So we could very well invalidate this bull flag and actually end up trading within this sideways channel here, as I mentioned before. So that's something to keep in mind if you do see a break out of this. Our last level of support really is probably this red line right around 3 cents. We do have the 618 Fibonacci level around 2.4 cents here. But in my opinion, if we really go much below this, the 0.5 level as well as this red line, we could likely see a move back down to this low again. It wouldn't necessarily be a bad thing, especially if this double bottoms. But either way, both of these patterns are considered continuation patterns, and that means it continues the trend that rallied into it. So conversely, if we have a move to the downside, and you saw this, it would mean that we were probably going to continue to the downside. So we look at our indicators on the hourly chart, you can see that there isn't really a whole lot to tell from this. The Ichimoku cloud isn't really providing support or resistance, which means we're trading sideways, which you can obviously see by this consolidation pattern here. The EMA ribbon has pretty much no spread on it, so it's really doing nothing. Other than that, we have the 200 EMA above us, so that could be a red flag. But again, these patterns are generally considered bullish. If we go back to the 4-hourly, you can actually see that the volume, even in this consolidation move, is actually still higher than this move downward. So that means there's some pretty high interest within this coin, at least trading it. So to sum things up, we could likely see a move all the way up to here at around 8 cents. Which is the general area of where this bull flag is pointing. That is if we break bullish out of this and if we break bullish out of this red zone of resistance. For the downside, if we see much below a 3-cent Jasmy, at least in my opinion, we're probably just going to be magnetic to this 618 level. And it honestly could just be a wick. We could just wick back down here and trade back within this range again. So this is all I have for Jasmy today. This is not financial advice, and I'll see you in the next one.